Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're getting into something that, well, probably hits home for a lot of people listening. It's this huge source of frustration in, modern working life. We're all sort of raised on this idea, this formula, hard work equals wealth equals happiness. It's hammered into us. But just look around. I mean, for so many folks today, that equation just isn't adding up, is it?
No, it really doesn't seem to be holding true for everyone.
Right. We're working longer hours, feeling way more stressed out, often carrying more debt. And yet that financial freedom, the thing we were promised, it feels perpetually just out of reach. So the big question is why? Why is this fundamental promise of diligence, seemingly breaking down?
That is exactly the core issue our source material digs into today. We're diving into a really insightful philosophical exchange. It's a dialogue between, let's call him, a teacher and a student. And the student is basically voicing that universal feeling. I'm working harder than ever, the pressure is immense, but then I see other people seemingly putting in less effort, maybe, and achieving far greater freedom, more wealth. It's a paradox.
It really is. And it feels unfair.
Absolutely. But our mission here isn't just to nod along and say, yeah, it's unfair. We want to extract the specific, maybe even uncomfortable wisdom the teacher offers to actually resolve this paradox. It forces us, and you listening, to ask, is the real problem a lack of hard work? Or is it maybe how we're even defining hard work?
Ooh, I like that framing. Okay, let's unpack this. Because the teacher kicks things off with an idea that I found, well, honestly, a bit radical, almost insulting at first, until I really thought about it. The teacher suggests that sometimes this intense activity, this thing we proudly call hard work, it isn't really diligence. It's actually just a very sophisticated form of escape.
Wow. Escape. That's a strong word choice.
Isn't it?
Yeah, and it's crucial in the source. The idea is we kind of seek refuge in just being busy.
Yeah.
That constant effort acts like a shield, almost. It prevents us from ever having to stop and ask those really essential, maybe scary questions about our own lives.
Like what kind of question?
Like, what am I actually building with all this time and energy? Is this really for my long-term benefit, my freedom? Or am I just, building someone else's dream?
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, if you're constantly busy, you feel productive, don't you? You feel like you're doing something right.
Exactly. You feel justified.
But if that work is an escape, like the teacher says, what are we running from?
Well, the source suggests we're running from self-examination and maybe ultimately from taking real responsibility for our own financial destiny. Think about the outcome. If just plain hard work guaranteed a comfortable life, why are millions, literally millions, working relentlessly, from their 20s right up to retirement, only to end up with what the source calls mere subsistence, just enough to get by?
That's a sobering point.
Yeah. And the teacher points out effort that's disconnected from awareness, it's basically wasted energy. It's like pouring hard work into a system that's, well, flawed for you. A system may be designed just to trade your time for temporary safety.
Right.
That only leads to quicker burnout. It's like being on a treadmill, huge effort, but you're not actually going anywhere different.
Okay, so blind effort is the trap. That makes sense. What's the way out then?
Yeah.
The teacher offers this really clear contrast between two choices we make, like every day. The choice for safety versus the choice for control. And according to this dialogue, these are almost mutually exclusive paths.
Safety versus control. Okay.
And to illustrate this, the teacher shares this incredible story. It's very visceral about a real couple, Kim and Robert. And this is where it really clicked for me. Get this. They had professional degrees, good skills, but at one point, they were actually homeless, living in their old car.
Wow. Okay. That's extreme.
Totally extreme.
And what's fascinating here, and what the teacher highlights, is that they could have taken the easy way out, the safe choice. With their qualifications, they probably could have landed a decent, stable job pretty quickly. The kind most people aim for security.
Right, the logical thing to do.
The logical, safe thing.
Yeah.
But they made a conscious decision not to. They actually refused that safety net.
Okay, hold on. That sounds almost terrifying. I mean, most people listening, most of us in the real world, we can't just decide not to have a paycheck, right? Especially if you're already struggling, maybe with debt. Isn't that kind of an impractical example, living on the edge like that?
It is extreme, I agree. But that's exactly why the teacher uses it, I think. It's meant to illustrate the psychological shift required, the level of commitment. They apparently had this realization that immediate safe job, that monthly paycheck, it wasn't the same thing as real long-term freedom.
Okay.
So they chose the sort of acute pain of living in a car over what they saw as the slow, chronic loss of freedom that comes from just depending on a salary month after month. They basically forced themselves, put themselves in a corner to learn the hardest skill, how to actually control the source of income.
Not just earn it, but control it.
Exactly. Rather than just enduring the process of earning a fixed amount someone else decides, they embraced that huge uncertainty to spark creativity.
And the result? What happened to them?
Well, according to the story, the result of that really conscious, albeit scary, choice was phenomenal.
They didn't choose stable employment. They chose, as the source puts it, the right to control the cash flow, the direction of the money. And that strategic pivot, that focus shift, it apparently allowed them to become millionaires in just 4 years.
4 years from living in a car. That's remarkable.
It really is.
And if we connect this back to the bigger picture, the teacher's point is their rapid success wasn't really about luck or having starting capital or some unique market insight. It was almost entirely because they switched their focus. They stopped working for money and started learning how to structure things so money started working for them.
Making money work for you. We hear that phrase a lot.
We do. And the teacher really emphasizes this. The person who works just to earn money is, in a way, controlled by money. Their life revolves around getting that next paycheck. But the person who learns to control the system that generates the cash flow, that's the person who achieves real freedom.
Okay, that distinction feels really important. Controlled by money versus controlling the system. But it immediately brings up the next question, which the student in the dialogue asks. What does control or controlling the system actually mean? It sounds huge, right? Like you have to predict the stock market or something. Overwhelming.
Yeah, it can sound that way. But the teacher gives a surprisingly practical and focused definition. Control does not mean controlling other people. It doesn't mean controlling the global economy or the market. That's impossible.
Right, okay.
The only thing the source argues that you can truly and consistently control is the source that generates your own income.
Okay, can you give me a more concrete example? What does controlling the source look like compared to just working for a source?
Sure. So when you work for the source, let's say a traditional job, your income is directly tied to your hours, your physical presence, your dependence on that specific employer.
Makes sense.
But when you control the source, you've built something. An engine, maybe. It could be intellectual property, a business system, an asset portfolio. Something that generates income for you, whether or not you physically show up at a desk tomorrow morning.
Okay, so the security mechanism is internal, built into your design, not dependent on someone else paying you.
Precisely. It's internal to your structure, not external and relying on, someone else's budget or approval.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me, because the outcome of mastering this internal control, according to the teacher, it's completely transformative.
How so?
Well, if your security is generated internally, like you said, you stop being so afraid of external things like market crashes or layoffs.
Right, because your foundation is different.
Yeah, and you stop just chasing that next monthly paycheck like your life depends on it.
Exactly. You start to live with, genuine freedom. Because the way you create value is more insulated from those external shocks.
Okay, but here's the crucial insight, right? The teacher argues this whole process, this financial freedom, it doesn't actually start with money.
No, it doesn't start with having capital to invest or even necessarily finding the perfect opportunity.
Where does it start then?
It starts with something much more fundamental, something completely internal. It starts with awareness.
Awareness. Okay, it sounds simple, maybe a bit abstract, but I suspect that's actually the hardest part, especially for someone who's already working hard and feeling exhausted.
It can be.
What does this awareness actually involve? Is it just like a mindset shift, a feeling?
Not just a feeling. The source suggests it's quite practical, almost quantifiable. It contrasts people who build wealth with those who don't. And the difference isn't usually the total number of hours they work.
Really? Because it often feels like wealthy people work constantly.
Well, people who control cash flow often work incredibly hard, especially initially, yes. But the key difference lies in their awareness, their understanding of where and when to place their efforts strategically for maximum leverage, not just maximum busyness.
So it's strategic diligence, not just pure endurance.
Exactly. Awareness means knowing, for example, that spending maybe 100 hours creating some kind of automated income source, even if that source pays you nothing for the first 6 months or even a year, that could still be a better use of those 100 hours than spending them to earn a guaranteed but temporary salary. A salary that required you to show up and spend another 100 hours next month and the month after that just to get the same result.
Okay. So awareness is the ability to see the leverage points, to understand the system you're in and realize you have a choice between simply trading your time for money right now versus trading your time now for creating leverage that pays off later, maybe passively.
You've got it. That's the core distinction. And the tragedy, the source implies, is when that blind diligence, just working hard without asking why or how, overrides that crucial recognition. The person without that awareness works incredibly hard, feels productive, feels virtuous even, and yet all their effort is like sowing seeds on, concrete. No long-term independence, no real freedom can grow there.
Wow, so the diligent worker can actually be the most trapped without even realizing it.
Often, yes, trapped by their own perceived virtue of just working hard without questioning the system they're working within.
Okay, that brings us nicely to the sort of final takeaway from this teacher-student dialogue.
Yeah.
The student eventually gets it. They realize that just pushing harder and harder blindly, it only digs the hole of tiredness and frustration deeper.
Right.
But once this awareness clicks in, this clear understanding of control and leverage, then we can apply our effort, maybe even more effort initially, but strategically, sowing seeds in the right place, in fertile ground.
And this is where the teacher introduces a concept, translated roughly as financial awakening or financial awareness. This awakening, this shift in perspective, it's needed not just to, say, get rich on paper, but to achieve a really profound, sustainable kind of freedom.
A kind of freedom.
The freedom to choose what you believe, how you want to live your life, driven by your own wisdom and intention, instead of being constantly driven by the kind of low-grade chronic fear of next month's bills.
So it's like an intellectual and psychological liberation that has to happen before the financial liberation can really take root.
That seems to be the argument, yes. And the ultimate transformation, according to the teacher, is moving from just being hard-working in that blind sense to becoming proactive.
Proactive, meaning?
Meaning intentional, strategic, self-directed.
Right.
Taking control of the process, not just reacting to demands.
And that shift from just reacting to proactively creating, that's what moves someone closer to real wisdom.
That's the idea. It's a fundamental shift in orientation. And this whole journey is captured really well in the final key quote from the teacher. It's beautifully put. It says something like, "Hard work is not wrong, but working blindly is a tragedy. Wise people do not necessarily do more, they do righter. The effort is still there, maybe even more focused, but the direction changes everything."
They do righter. I like that. Okay, so let's bring this all together. What does this really mean for you listening right now? I think the true lesson we've unpacked today is about taking control of your own energy, first and foremost. Recognizing the system you're currently operating in and honestly evaluating, is your hard work building your control? Or is it just buying temporary safety, maybe for you, but definitely control for someone else?
It's a tough question to ask yourself.
It is. It means really thinking about where your strategic leverage lies. Where can you apply effort that multiplies over time? And then making that conscious decision. And yeah, maybe it feels scary at first to shift your effort, moving away even gradually from just trading hours for dollars and towards building some kind of internal source of cash flow that you control.
This raises an important question, though. The source material strongly suggests that when our work comes from this place of control and meaning and proactivity, money stops being the goal or the chain. It becomes sort of just a natural result of an intentionally designed system, a byproduct almost.
A result, not the driver.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's a thought to maybe mull over this week, something provocative from the dialogue. If your current hard work, that job, that main source of income you rely on for monthly safety, if it were suddenly taken away tomorrow, would your first feeling be one of maybe liberation? Because you know exactly how to start building and controlling a new income stream from scratch. Or would it be sheer terror because your one and only system of safety just vanished?
That gut reaction, the source implies, reveals a lot about whether your current focus is truly on building control over the flow, or merely seeking safety from the fear of not having enough. So the final question is, what's maybe one small strategic step towards that proactivity, towards intentionally creating and controlling your own flow that you could realistically take today or this week?